Welcome to English Everest IELTS Task 1 writing lessons. In this lesson we're going to write overviews for Task 1 essays. In the previous video in the series we paraphrased the title of a Task 1 essay. This video follows on from the first one. As you can see, we have two different types of Task 1 essay on our cover, a pie chart and a process. For Task 1 you have to write an overview of the information you're given. This can be written at the end of the essay, but I personally recommend inserting it after the title, and it will complete the first paragraph. Some teachers say that the overview can come at the end, but most teachers, from my experience, recommend that it comes after the title, because you want to know what's going to come before you read it, not after you have read it. So that's my logic or my reasoning behind it. Okay, rules for overviews. Number 1. Only write about what you can see. Imagine looking at that information, the chart, for example the pie chart, the line chart, without the information. Imagine it's just blank and all you can see are the lines or the bars or the pie without the information. That's how you've got to imagine it. So look at what you can see. Obviously this does not apply for tables, because tables have the information in there that you have to look at, and then you write exactly the same sentences, but with a table you've got to use the table to see what the data tells you. Second, do not include data. This will be in the body of the essay. Again, we'll be demonstrating this in this video. You only need to write 2 to 3 sentences, no more. Remember, an overview. Keep it brief. And finally, number 4, only provide an overall picture of the data. Don't talk about all of it. Talk about the main points. Okay, to demonstrate we're going to use a line graph. It's actually a bar chart, but it has dynamic data because it's time based. Okay, we'll use the same bar chart that we used in the previous video, the title writing video, which is displaying time. So here is what the chart is showing. Male and female students in higher education in Britain across 3 time periods, both full and part-time students. These are the years, these are the units. Okay, if you haven't watched the previous video about paraphrasing the title, there'll be more focus on this in that, so my advice is to go back and watch it, or watch it after this. So the first thing we need to do is to decide what the main points are. Okay, this will be the information we'll write about in our overview. Part-time education has the highest numbers. Full-time education has the lowest numbers. Male numbers in part-time only decreased. Female numbers in part-time increased. Numbers for both increased, and we're only talking about full-time here. Increase, increase. They're the main points. It's most of the information, so we can incorporate this into our overview. So this is the main data which we'll use. Check the information. Please make sure it's correct, because if you misread it and you transfer that into the essay will be incorrect. So it doesn't matter whether you write a very good essay, if the information is incorrect, it will affect your score. As you can see, you do not need data to explain what's going on. You can see it. Okay, so we're going to use that information to write our overview, which is placed after the title. To begin the overview, we use discourse markers to mark the beginning of the overview. Here are three common ways that we can introduce it. As can be seen, or we can see that, overall we can see that the main information shows. Choose one or two of these to practice. You don't need many because you're only going to write this once. All of these discourse markers tell the examiner what's coming. An overview. So here's our example. Overall, we can see that part-time students had the greatest numbers and female numbers increased while male numbers decreased. Part-time. For full-time education, both male and female data showed a rise. Now yours might be slightly different to this, you might use different wording, but we've just highlighted the main points. So that's all you need, 2 sentences, maximum of 3. I would say you don't need 3 sentences unless there's a lot more information. Then you have to be creative in the way that you decide which information you're going to use. Okay, this technique should be practiced regularly until you are comfortable. You ideally should take only 5 minutes to plan your essay in total. So this is part of the planning. So you need to be able to do this quickly, and only practice will do this. Will make you be able to do it more quickly. So our final example here, we've added the overview to the title. The title is in the previous video, as I mentioned earlier. Please watch it if you haven't. We add the overview in orange to the title. This gives us around 55 words. 60 words is often an average for an introduction, including both of these parts. So that gives you 100 plus words, 110, 120 plus for your body of the essay. Okay, so now we're going to look at some different types of essays. So we're going to look at the overviews for them. So we're going to look at diagrams, maps, and processes. The processes are slightly different than for charts and tables. Sorry, the overviews are slightly different, but the process is basically the same. For diagrams, you will have to describe either changes to the maps, the objective of a diagram, or the order of a process. Okay, let's begin. So the first thing we can see here is a diagram showing hydroelectric power generation. So if you look at the diagram, you can see it's sequential. It starts here, it finishes here. So what you do is you count the number of steps, and then you just talk about the first one and the last one. So here is a typical diagram of the process of producing hydroelectric power. Here, the overview, that should say, will consist of the number of steps in the process, followed by the first and last process information. Okay, let's look at a typical overview. Overall, it can be seen that there are 10 stages which begin with seawater evaporation and finish with the delivery of electricity to homes and businesses. It's delivered by cable, underground cable, so we can use the word delivery. Doesn't mean you must go to someone's house. You're just taking something to someone's house. How you do it, there are many different ways we deliver things. So don't think about the pizza delivery. Delivery has many broader terms. We can see that there are 10 stages which commence with seawater being evaporated, so we're using continuous here, by the sun, again the same thing, and finish with power being distributed to consumers. So first, last. Next we're going to look at a map. So here is our map. Here are our maps, sorry. Here we have a before and after. Often you will have years here. For example, 1950, 2010. So the maps vary, so again, look carefully at the information before you begin planning. Make sure you know what's there and check it thoroughly. So some maps will show 2 different years, often set years apart, sometimes 20 years, 50 years, sometimes 5 years, doesn't matter. But sometimes no information is given about time. In this example, the procedure is still the same. Your overview will describe the differences and main points relating to the differences. Okay? We use the same introductions. So what we're going to do is we're going to describe what we can see here, and we're going to describe what we can see here. But we're going to talk about it in brief terms. It can be seen that there has been considerable construction with regards to with regards to accommodation for tourism, with notably the retention of all trees, or all of the trees. So, before picture, all of the trees are there, nothing in terms of construction. Second one, a lot of construction here, but the trees have still been retained. So you could cite those 2 things as the main features for your overview. There was nothing there before, now there's a lot of things, but the trees are still there. That's basically what you're saying, but obviously using more academic language. And finally, we look at the process in the form of flows or sequences. We can see here that we have pulp and paper making process. With this process there are many stages, and at one point it splits into 2. Now I've made a slight error here. It's not really a big deal. It's just that I don't want to make the video again just because of this, so I'll explain in a minute. Okay, here we can see a sequential flow of stages in the process of paper production. We do the same thing as before. We count the number of stages and begin with the first and end with the last. As this has 2 parallel stages, we include this in our overview. So, first stages, we go from here to here. The 5 stages in the first process go from the felling of trees, chopping down of trees, to the production of the pulp, from here to here. After this, there are 2 separate processes of 5 stages each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so that's the slight error. So you just change it to 6. But the thing is, if you do that, you're going to have to write more. So I would suggest saying 2 stages of 2 processes of several stages each. Several is not a fixed number. It can mean 3, it could mean 8, it could mean 6, it doesn't matter. So several is a good word to use to say that there are numerous stages in each process. Okay, so a final recap. Overviews for all of the different types of Task 1 essays are identical at certain stages, then they differ. Practice writing all 4 types regularly. The overview will always begin the same. Here are some examples. And then you have to look at what type of essay you're doing and change your overview accordingly. It's also worth noting that a good overview will increase your score. There is a chart that's been provided by the British Council, etc., and they rate overviews. A good overview will get a 7, not so good a 6, a lesser one down to 5. So do focus on your overview because it can help towards your final score. It tells the examiner that you understand the data and can accurately provide a basic view of what can be seen. Okay? We can provide you with examples if you visit our website. Just go to the website, there are plenty of examples. If you don't find any, then just email us and we'll send you lots of examples that you can use for practice. So that's the end of this video. Please subscribe if you like it or find it useful. If you subscribe, you will also be given notification when new videos are posted. And thank you again. In our next video, we're actually going to look at how to group data and how to write dynamic sentences. Thank you.